Wayne Gallman signs with the Atlanta Falcons. Remember he couldn't be claimed or because he wasn't waived. He was outright released. So it was a little shocking that yesterday nobody picked him up. But as we know, with IR designations and roster moving around, it wasn't going to take long for Gallman to find his way onto another roster. He is that solid of a player. I think the misconception that people had on Twitter yesterday about people complaining about Gallman was that people think that Gallman, that we believe that Gallman was going to be some sort of guts in the RB1. No, he's a very solid player. And I thought that what he brought to the table was something that Kyle Shanahan would value, i.e. pass protection, i.e. track record. But at the same time,
durability.
And they got under the numbers crunch and they decided to let him go. I was pretty certain that he was going to find his way onto a roster. And when you look at what happened with the Ravens, when you look at what happened with the Rams with their running back injuries, those kind of felt good. But then when you looked at the Falcons, that's kind of where I looked at. I just looked at everybody's depth chart. The Falcons literally just had Mike Davis, Kadri Allison, and Cordero Patterson. Those are your three tailbacks. You need more help. So they wound up cutting Kadri Allison to bring in Wayne Gallman. And 1 out of 100 predictions, getting it right ain't bad, I guess, right?
Pete Gorman says we got enough running backs. We don't need them. See, to me, that's fair if there weren't players on the roster who I would consider practice squad caliber. Like, I think Jason and I could go through the roster and name at least 2 players right now.
Devontae Harris?
Yeah. Dante Johnson, Tom Compton. I mean, okay, so it's unprecedented to have 5 tailbacks. There's no rule against it. They're all good players. And by cutting him, you just made the Falcons better. They're in your conference.
Yeah. I mean, again, when you look around, depth was going to be needed, and he's a guy who has 5 years in this league and has shown his track record of being very solid. I don't see where the pushback was where, listen, I understand the JaMychal Hasty thing. Athletically, no one's here to argue that JaMychal Hasty isn't ahead of Wayne Gallman athletically wise, the way that he runs the ball, that's fine. For me, I'm a big track record guy, and I thought that Kyle Shanahan would value those things. But it appears that JaMychal Hasty did enough in those last 2 games, on top of leading the NFC in rushing yards and touchdowns during the preseason to warrant that spot. But I was very shocked to see him go, actually. I really was.
Silver lining here is that the Niners should get Jeff Wilson Jr. back. There's your 5th running back. But again, I mean, you can't have too many. And I think there are players on this team that they could have cut and put on their practice squad and had Gallman. I think are like 3 or 4 practice squad guys in this 53-man roster. Like, for example, Juwan Jennings. You nothing against Juwan Jennings. Mm-hmm. They cut him last year. He cleared waivers last year. What has he really done since then? Caught a few passes in preseason. Maybe he get claimed. Maybe he wouldn't. I think
he played, which is more than we could say for
Hurd. I mean, yeah, exactly. There are guys in this 53-man roster you think could be on the practice squad with Gallman here, and it'll be something to monitor as the season goes on. Because right now it doesn't seem like you need a 5th tailback, but that's the position that goes the fastest in terms of injuries.